So, Happy New Year, guys! I've been on a break recently, so I haven't been able to post much. But I promise new videos coming out this year. So yeah, anyway, the new Abyss also just got released recently, and I want to showcase my run in the background. But I actually kind of want to try something different with this video. So for this vid, I want to go over different characters that are meta for this Abyss rotation, since the overall meta kind of revolves around the floor 12 enemies. But before that, I'll discuss some tips and strategies that I discovered after my relatively short testing with this Abyss team. Actually, the first few chambers are relatively easy. Like chamber 1 has the PMA, which has a significantly less health than the previous level 100 PMAs that we've dealt with before. So it actually is not really too bad to fight with since its HP isn't that much. So just put any like half decent single target DPS to handle the first chamber. And for the second half, it's the Thundering Manifestation. So the UAE mains are gonna rejoice, I guess. But actually, this enemy has actually gotten a lot easier to deal with ever since Dendro came out, especially with Hyper Bloom that can just pretty much shred through the enemy's defense since the seeds are homing attacks and can never really miss. The next chamber is pretty simple also. So for the first half, it's just a spinning mech machine, 1 Ruin Guard and 2 Ruin Graders, which aren't really hard to deal with at all. Like their HP pools aren't that big. The second half is actually really easy also. It's just the shields of the Geoslimes that can be dealt with any reaction. So Overload or Bloom or anything pretty much can handle the shields. Then it's the Geo Vishaps and the Meta Trolls, which are pretty easy to deal with as well. Just like group them up together and don't let the Geo Vishaps transform. Although if you do let them transform, their transformations aren't really that hard to deal with because it's just Hydro and Pyro. So if you swirl both elements, they can deal significant amount of damage to one another, so it's pretty much fine. The final chamber, first half, is actually the most difficult chamber in this Abyss. Although again, if you play it safe, it isn't really too bad either. Like I feel having a solid shielder slash healing option that's not Bennett is a must in this half, unless you want to give yourself an aneurysm or something, and go ahead. The reason why you wouldn't really want to run Bennett in the first half, unless you have a good like shielder, is because Bennett infuses you with Pyro. Once a giant Hydro Golem hits you with any attack, it's basically a one-shot. This enemy is just basically a huge DPS check that you have to deal with, so having an invested DPS that isn't Hydro will help also significantly. The best elements to bring here are either Pyro, Cryo, Dendro, and Geo characters that can take advantage of the enemies being infused with Hydro. This enemy can be really annoying, especially if it gets into the second phase of its attacks. Because again, it's just like the Thundering Manifestation, where it just like straight up teleports away, leaving you to chase after it, which wastes a lot of time. As for the second half, there's nothing really significant going on in this half. Actually, I think it's pretty much the easiest in this floor, and it's gonna save you a lot of time. Although a major factor in this chamber is that enemies can pretty much just one-shot you because they deal a lot of damage. So yeah, just be careful and play defensively, and you should be fine. Overall, this Abyss, in my opinion, is pretty easy compared to the other Abysses that we faced before. I mean, the previous one had the Pyro Shields, which is just pretty annoying to get through, but it's pretty doable. So yeah, the only major problem, like I said, is just the last chamber first half. But aside from that, you won't face any problem. We already have a fully built team for both sides. So going through this roster, there are some characters that perform significantly well in this Abyss, just for the fact that it's pretty easy, so I think you can run a lot of the characters here just as well. So yeah, for my run, I use Navia, but actually Navia isn't really the best character that I think you could use here. I've actually tested with Linny, and Linny actually performs really well in this Abyss. Like, he performs just like, even though you don't take advantage of his A1 passive, he still does significant amount of damage with his vaporizes against the enemy. Like, just be aware that you're gonna be really squishy and you need to bring like a shielder, because playing without a shielder is a miserable life, especially with Lenny, because you have to run Lenny with Bennett, right? So all these other characters, Nuvalet actually doesn't really do much in the first. Well, I mean, he's pretty much unplayable for the last chamber because the enemy is infused with Hydro, so he won't do any damage. So at best, you want to run him on second half, but he's still viable there in second half. Characters like Dea might be decent in the first half, but you need to like invest in her significantly, and pretty much everyone will just do better than her anyway. So Alhaitham is still good, a very viable DPS that you can use all the time, pretty much in both chambers. Nahida's again really good for both chambers. Nilo teams, like I did my second half run with Nilo, and Nilo actually performs really well in the second half. Since I have a really heavily invested Nilo, she can pretty much also do first half no problem. Like with Nahida, they can handle first half as well, just as fine. I honestly don't recommend playing Wanderer on first half because, again, if you don't have a shielder, you're gonna have a miserable life. And I just think Wanderer is not enough to take out the Hydro Golem in time because the DPS check is just way too high. Tainari actually works really well. He can pretty much handle the first half and second half pretty decently. I think Yoyame is kind of overrated for second half because, I mean, yeah, you have the advantage over the Thundering Manifestation and all that. But when it comes to handling like more than one enemy, yeah, good luck trying to, get your full attack string combo against them, especially because they stagger a lot, which is annoying. So you really need a shielder with her. And she just performs pretty much just as well as any other Abyss in that case. Ito performs decently in first and second half. Like, he can work. I just don't like using him that much anymore. But I mean, he works. Ayaka, I really don't like playing Ayaka for second half. For the Thundering Manifestation, she's just an awful character to play against because her burst is gonna miss, like, it's guaranteed almost. So you're gonna have a really big struggle against Thundering Manifestation. But other than that, I guess you could play her on like 12-2 second half and 12-3 second half. But first half, she doesn't really work either for the first half because none of the boss enemies can get frozen, so there's really no point. Raiden works as well. You know, Raiden can pretty much handle all the chambers except for Thundering Manifestation. Unless you focus on Hyper Blade, then she's gonna be completely fine. Eula is Eula, and she's just pretty much the same all throughout. I still don't like playing her. Child has less value in this Abyss because, again, first half, like, you can't really... He's kind of useless in the Hydro Golems phase, which, yeah. The Thundering Manifestation really makes him annoying to play. Kaching is, again, the Thundering Manifestation. So if you're running with Farina, I guess it'll work because Farina and Nahida can pretty much take out the Thundering Manifestation together. Like, they don't do... The Thundering Manifestation's HP isn't really that high at all. So she's pretty manageable. Utao, first half, very good. Mona, again, she's good. She's not like amazing in this half, but again, I've done videos with Mona where she can pretty much just handle any content in the second half, so it should be fine. For 4 stars, Bennett is really good as always. Again, it's harder to play Bennett in first half because of the Hydro attacks of the Hydro Golem, which will pretty much one-shot you if you're in Bennett's burst circle. So yeah, that's why you really need a good shielder. That's why you need Songli, actually. Or just like any shielder that can pretty much tank the Hydro Golem's damage. Next is Xiangling, Oppa, which is, yeah, goated, obviously. Like, she can pretty much just handle that. So can Fischl. Like, first half, Fischl can just do everything. Second half, the Thundering Manifestation. And also, I forgot, the... What do you call those? Meta Churls, yeah. Fischl can handle the Metal Churls. Like, they're not really tanky, so it's fine. So she's pretty much viable as well. Barbara is also viable. Pretty much, yeah, the only characters I would really not recommend running. Oh, Risley. Yeah, I forgot about Risley. Yeah, I just don't like him in this Abyss. Like, he's fine. Like, I mean, he can handle enemies well. He can't freeze anything. But, I mean, he's there. He just does his stuff. I think I recommend him over Wanderer at least. So that's something. Pretty much any shielding option, like Lila, or like, who else? Diona, or yeah, just anyone that has a decent shield can work decently well. Baitsu works really well in this Abyss, especially against the Thundering Manifestation and all the enemies that can stagger you in second half. Like, he's a pretty good like shielder for that. Hirara works decently well. And yeah, this Abyss is really easy, so I think you can just get any character to work. Like, Noelle can work if you build her enough. Like, Beidou can work if you invest in her enough. So pretty much any character works well in this Abyss rotation.